You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me. Well, hey, Murph.
AP, oh my gosh.
What a weekend.
Woo! I can't believe Matt has let the secret out. We now know all the overnight towns. We know where we're going in July. This is amazing.
I'm so excited. I'm glad that I've been training so hard because, 10th hilliest RAGBRAI? Woo!
I know. And not to mention, I think you put this in a post a couple weeks ago, how, here in Iowa, it was in the negative temperature digits. And you're like, what other time of the year are you going to be 100 degrees from how we are in July?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But luckily, all of our events this weekend were indoors.
I know.
So we were able to enjoy it.
It was fine. And so this is one of our most popular episodes where we sit down with Mr. Matt Phippen, who is our ride director, and we kind of do a deep dive into the overnight towns. So
welcome, Matt.
Welcome, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the weekend?
Comes and it goes super quick. A lot of build up to get there, and then it's gone in a matter of moments. So it's now the real work begins.
Yeah.
Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it does.
Did you have a huge, weight off your shoulders when you could finally tell RAGBRAI Nation where we're going?
Yeah, I think there's always that. Are they going to respond well to it? There's obviously a lot of very passionate RAGBRAI riders out there that tell you if you suck or not, or if they love it. And, I think it's been very well received.
Yeah, I was going to say, based on the weekend, I feel it was very well received. So, well, let's talk about the RAGBRAI LIII. Can I just say RAGBRAI 53?
You're allowed to say 53.
Okay. So let's talk about the RAGBRAI 53 route.
So we found out the overnight towns at the route party. And just to recap, in case you somehow missed the memo, the overnight towns for 2026 will be Onawa, Harlan, Guthrie Center, Boone. You want to do the last four?
Marshalltown, Independence, Dyersville, and we'll be dipping our bikes in the Mississippi in Dubuque, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, when Murph and I found out the overnight towns, we were so excited because last year on the way home from RAGBRAI, we stopped in Dyersville.
Yes, we did.
And we had a good time. We took a bunch of photos and we had no idea.
Right.
So
yeah,
we're
cool.
Just saying it now, we called it.
Okay, so Matt, do you want to touch on how you decided on these overnight towns, maybe a little bit about the process?
Sure. So this has kind of been coming together over the last, I would say now 3 years. So this is my fifth route as the director. And, 2 or 3 years ago, some of these towns came to us and said, hey, be looking at us around 2026.
Oh, wow.
We wrapped up projects. We're going to be in a really, really good spot. We would love to host. It's been some time for us. So if it's on your radar, if it's in the the vicinity, we would love to host. So it kind of takes some of the pressure off, just knowing kind of my 3 to 5 year plan of where I want to go and where the ride needs to go, and to be able to have towns locked in early made the process easy. So there are some dots that we had to figure out. So we had to do what I normally do, which is just the paper map, and start drawing on it and looking at it and kind of dissecting it into the different days and seeing what distances are. And, over the last, 4+ years now, the fifth, I've listened a lot to riders, and, riders want 50 miles a day, and they want flat, and they want it easy, and like all these things that, I can't always guarantee.
Right. It's Iowa.
It's Iowa, right? So, and depending on where you go, whether it's north, central, or southern, it's going to be hilly, it's going to be flat. But, I kind of feel, the way the mileage is kind of broke down day by day, it's very manageable. Now, the tough part is it's still 16,000 feet to climb. So, 391 miles, which is the shortest RAGBRAI, but then there's 16,000 feet to climb, which means you may have a short day, but you're still going up and down a lot, to get to that final point. So there will be elevation, there will be amazing views, but once you start getting that route figured out, we started having conversations behind the scenes with DOT, learning about their projects, because their projects are very fluid. They change throughout the year, and from past years, projects that didn't get done get pushed to the next year. Because the end goal is we want to be able to knock on a door or, talk to a town and say, hey, we can come to you. We can physically get there. How can we make this happen? And, once the DOT kind of, approves it, once State Patrol kind of gets eyes on it and approves it, then we are physically, knocking on doors, talking to towns. We do have a bidding process. 5 of the towns that are en route this year, submitted bids to host RAGBRAI, which is fantastic. The goal that I have is eventually all these towns are submitting every year to be en route. With it being my 5th route, there's a lot of towns you can check off because of previous years. So, the socials are trying to figure out where we're going, what we're doing. And by process of elimination, there's only so many start towns. There's only so many end towns. We went northern last year. We could have gone south, central, whatever that looks like. So, it's just one of those things where you try to get as much information and as much, due diligence with, the whole route to be able to say, okay, we have it locked in. This year was it was definitely the earliest that I felt really, really good about the overnight towns. I didn't travel at all in December talking to towns. We had it all locked in by Thanksgiving for the most part, which was awesome for me and my travel. And I think towns did a fantastic job keeping it quiet. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I worry about, is because the secret of the ride, once you find out, you're disappointed because you just ruin Christmas because Santa's not real, right? So, for the towns to be able to keep it as quiet as possible and to be able to do the things that we need from them behind the scenes, I was very impressed. So, I think we got a pretty solid route for 2026.
Well, I speak for myself when I say I'm super excited to ride this route. I can't wait to get out there and meet people from the towns a little bit more and start working on this project of RAGBRAI 53. For now, let's take a closer look at each day of riding and the overnight towns.
Yeah, and I love this part, Matt, because you always have stats that go in my brain and then they leave my brain. And then when I re-listen to this episode, then I actually write it down because it leaves my brain a second time.
Sure.
I'm just not very good with I'm no mathlete, all right? I'm just going to admit it.
That's why we have our Wahoo bike computers.
My stats might not be that great then. Maybe I need to get better stats for you so they stick with
No, I already
better.
know that they are incredible stats, at least at the beginning of the week, because LOESS comes into play, the Les Hills.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead, Matt. Start out with Onawa. Give us your stats, and then AP and I each have a little fun fact we may throw in.
So your day 0 expo will be in Onawa. They have a population of 2,795. So a smaller community to start out the week with. Hosted in 1977, 1983, 1987, 1995, 2004, 2018, and this year for 2026. So 6 times plus the one for this year will be 7 times hosting. They've been there and they've done it as a start town. This day on route starts out with 58.5 miles. But you're, like you said earlier, the Les Hills. So, for those that don't know, there's a lot of ups and downs because you're going to be climbing. So, over 3,500 feet of climb that day. But, the good news is every time you go up, you got to go down. So it'll be a good first day.
I love a hilly first day. And actually, Onawa is known as the gateway to the Les Hills. So we will be climbing. Prepare yourself for that.
And my fun fact for Onawa, and it's going to segue into this question, whether or not it's actually on the Missouri River. And I read that originally it was on the Missouri River, but it had to be relocated inland after constant flooding. And this was back in 1867.
Wow.
So to answer the question, is it on the Missouri River?
It used to be.
So when people, go a little crazy, like, why are we at the Missouri River?
Yep.
If you look at a map, not everything can be on the Missouri.
It's very true.
That's right. My fun fact for Onawa is that it is named for a character mentioned in a poem called The Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Okay.
So get a little culture in your life.
All right. Okay.
So we will head from Onawa and end up in Harlan that night. Harlan has a population of 4,893. They've hosted in 1976, 1983, 1994, 2000, 2008, 2013, and then 2026. So it has been some time since we've been to Harlan. They'll have, after this year, hosted 7 times.
Wow.
It's definitely a favorite of mine. I've been both a cyclist and an employee going to Harlan, and always fun to go there. I just have good memories.
The entire town of Harlan covers an area of about 4.39 square miles. So we'll be able to get around Harlan pretty easy.
Yeah. One of my favorite fun facts about Harlan is that they're home to the Shelby County Speedway, where someone named Tiny Lund raced there, or he came from Harlan, and they have a race called the Tiny Lund Memorial Race, and he, in 1963, won the Daytona 500.
Whoa.
So, big deal.
All right.
I'm really hoping we get to see some races there. I have no idea whether or not that'll be a possibility, but I remember going to West Union and really enjoying the race, car racing there. So,
So day 2, we will leave Harlan and head towards Guthrie Center, 53.9 miles, 3,554 feet of climb. This will be the most climb for the entire week. So with Guthrie Center, they have a population of 1,593. So our smallest town that's en route. I absolutely love small towns and small town hospitality. And it's something that our riders ask for and they want. And, you know, as long as the town has the infrastructure to host RAGBRAI, we're going to go there. You know, and Guthrie Center is definitely one of those towns. Beautiful community, but it's been a while. So 1974, 1983, and we will go back in 2026. So 1983 was the last time we've been there. So
we haven't overnighted there since I was born.
So and I was 3 years old. So it has been a while. Yeah,
my age.
But no, I'm super excited about Guthrie. Like I said, it's a small town hospitality that we're going to go visit, but they have the ability to pull it off.
And speaking of small, this town covers a total of 2.47 square miles. So we can walk from border to border of this community.
Oh, you can almost throw a football across Guthrie Center.
Almost.
Well, I can't, but maybe you could. They were incorporated back in the 1800s, and it was named for Captain Edwin B. Guthrie, who was a commanding officer of a company of Iowa volunteers in the Mexican War. So going all the way back, a lot of history of Guthrie Center.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you were saying they're, 1,800 population, something like that. It reminds me of back in the day, maybe 2013, when we overnighted in Leon. They're a similar size of town.
Right. I do remember Leon.
They knocked it out of the park. It was so incredible. I still have good memories of it. I still have pictures of it with the crew. I freaking loved it. The only negative is that their Dairy Queen ran out of ice cream, but I think, you know, that's something maybe we could solve for. So I'm excited for Guthrie Center. It's going to be good. Like Matt was saying, when it's a small town, we're all together.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't spread out. It seems more like one big campground.
Right.
Yeah, so day 3, we're going to give the legs a little bit of a break. We're going to leave Guthrie Center and make our way towards Boone. So 59.5 miles and a little over 1,500 feet of climb. So a little bit easier day. So Boone is one of our bigger communities. They have a population of 12,460. This will be the 5th time that they've hosted. 1975, 1988, 1998, 2011, and then in 2026.
And this city honors Captain Nathan Boone, who is the son of famous frontiersman Daniel Boone.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our listeners may know that Boone is the home to Fairway stores, grocery stores. They're also the home to Casey's General Stores.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of really cool history and businesses in Boone. The other thing I can't wait to see in Boone is that apparently they at least had a largest ever statue of Theodore Roosevelt in Boone. It was constructed in 1948. And I hope that I hope it's still there, and I hope we get to see it, because who doesn't love Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah. Cool.
Perfect. So we are now day 4. So the first 3 days of the route, you're under 60 miles every day. But you do have, some major elevation, being over 3,500 feet for the first two, and then 1,503. For day 4, we'll be over 60 miles. We're at 62.2 miles. We will climb 1,563 feet of climb that day as we head towards Marshalltown. Marshalltown is even bigger than our Boone community. They have a population of 27,886. They've hosted in 1974, 1994, 2004, 2012, and 2026. So this will be the 5th time they've hosted us.
And this city is home to the Iowa Veterans Home and also Marshalltown Community College.
Oh, very good. When it was founded, the founder described it as the prettiest place in Iowa. So
the prettiest place.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're about to find out if that's true.
Okay.
It's also the home to David Lennox, who's an American inventor, and he made Lennox, I think it's like furnaces, but a big furnace company that has now moved to Texas, but it was founded in Marshalltown. So I wish he'd come back, Lennox. But the last time we were in Marshalltown in 2012, they did an awesome job of hosting, but there was a giant storm that day. Riders who rode back then will probably remember that. Their band got rained out, and I'm so excited for them to have another shot at just hopefully they get the best summertime day ever in Marshalltown. I would love to see them. They did so well even with the rain out. I would love to see them shine.
Oh, yeah.
So day 5, we will leave Marshalltown, and that week we'll be celebrating independence because of America 250. So we got to go to Independence. So, looking at that day, we are at the longest day of the week, 81.4 miles, over 2,700 feet of climb. Independence is a proven RAGBRAI community. They have a lot of RAGBRAI ambassadors living in that community. The last time they hosted was 1982, 2007, 2014, and 2026. And Independence is a little bit of a smaller community with 6,200 people living there.
This is actually a very fun fact that's bike related. So in 1892, none of us were around. Actually, nobody listening to this podcast was around. John S. Johnson set the first 1-mile bicycle speed record. He completed the mile in under 2 minutes on his bicycle.
Oh, is that good? It was then, I guess.
It was then.
Yeah.
Think about the bike in 1892.
True. Yeah.
Steel, probably a fixed gear. I don't know. Anyway.
Bone shaker.
Yeah.
So after 81 miles on the bike, we're going to give you a break on day 6. We will leave Independence and we will make our way towards Dyersville, 42.2 miles and 1,400 feet of climb. Dyersville, this will be the 3rd time they've hosted. They have a population of 4,477, 1989, 2007, and this year in 2026.
Did you say 1989?
1989.
So that was the same year that the movie Field of Dreams came out.
Was it?
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Very cool.
We'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah.
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 I was 9 years old. AP, how old were you?
6.
Murph?
I will also tell you a very fun fact about Dyersville. It is where my mother was born and grew up. So I have such fond memories in the summertime and at Christmas time going to Dyersville, and the community is a great community.
Yeah. They are known as the farm toy capital of the world. So I would guess that a young Kathy Murphy may have been gifted a couple of die-cast cars or perhaps a little tractor.
I will tell you, my grandfather was like the security guard there. So we would go in there in the middle of the night, which probably was like 7 p.m. in little kid world, and see all the stuff being made.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Obviously, they are also home to the Field of Dreams. They still have the field there today. It's a really cool place. You have to see it. It's a must-see when you go to Dyersville. The people who go and visit the Field of Dreams in Dyersville are nuts about baseball the way that RAGBRAI riders are nuts about cycling.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to see. And it made me feel like more of an American just going there.
Yeah.
Feel like I hit that home run myself. But just 2 weeks after we visit them on RAGBRAI, they're going to host a Major League Baseball game.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
wow,
kudos to them.
I will also say, while we're in Dyersville, it's right in the middle of town, but they have what's called the Basilica of St. Francis Xavier. And it is a Roman Catholic church, one of the very few basilicas that still exist in tiny, tiny towns. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
And just like that, we are at day 7. Our week is almost over.
Wow.
One thing we've listened to from a rider standpoint is riders really want a short last day. They're, family, friends are picking them up. They're trying to catch charters. And when you have a long last day, it just puts everything in a bad spot. So Dyersville, we will head to Dubuque. So 33.7 miles,
Ooh, wow.
1,788 feet of climb. Dubuque is our largest community en route, 58,987 in a population. Last time they hosted, 1974, 1983, 1993, 2010, and they will be our last town for 2026.
And Dubuque is Iowa's oldest city.
That's right. A lot of history in Dubuque. Settled by Julian Dubuque in 1785. It predates Iowa statehood by decades.
And this is also, I thought was an interesting fun fact. Dubuque is special because it sits where Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin all meet. And so a lot of people will call it the tri-state area. So I guess, after you have fun in Dubuque, if you're like feeling a little like your legs still have some energy, you could do a quick tri-state bicycle ride.
Oh, very good. They also, back in the day, just to touch back on their historicness, they were known for having lead mines back in the day. But they also were owned originally by France. Well, first of all, they were owned by no one, and then the Native Americans, and then France, and then Spain, and then the United States.
What?
So they were owned, they kind of got passed around because they're in such a key location on the Mississippi River that everybody wanted to stop there and, take advantage of their prime location. So I encourage you to look up some history of Dubuque. It's one of the coolest towns in Iowa.
And everybody wanted to go there or be there, including Matt Phippen, because he ended the ride there.
There you go.
That's awesome. So I'm hearing a theme when we think this year is America's birthday, 250 years. There's a significance of having independence on the map this year, I think.
Yes.
And then something else you mentioned about with Dyersville. Was that intentional?
Absolutely. That's a huge milestone. So why not find ways to celebrate, America in Iowa? I mean, I think when you look at Iowa as a whole, to be able to take the United States and have 50 states that come to RAGBRAI every single year, we draw everybody in. So why not show the world, the different, tiebacks to the different communities that we go through. So there'll be different things that'll be popping up. There are, special days that we're gonna tie into it, all for a later episode. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of thought put into, okay, if the route's here, what's in the vicinity that we can go visit and be a part of? And if it has, a tie to America, we're gonna go check it out.
Mm-hmm. So is the next step to nail down the in-between towns, or how does that process work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will kind of just breathe this week, kind of put our ducks in a row, and then we start traveling. So the first week of February, we are on the road. We are, scheduling meetings with all our overnight towns. So, 8 1-hour meetings. And this is kind of our first RAGBRAI 101, just talking very high level with them. Our first really kind of meeting them, one-on-one with their full committees. And then when we leave, we're literally driving from town to town and stopping in saying hi. I absolutely love this side of the business from the standpoint of we show up, we walk in, and it says RAGBRAI on my jacket or my shirt, and you see them either fall out of their chair or the gasps or whatever that the body language changes. But I like to get that first impression of, are they excited to see us, or are they going to be overwhelmed and, not be, the biggest fans of RAGBRAI? But the best part is, just being able to show them that they have support. We're going to be able to help them out and then work through issues. But yeah, I definitely love that first week of travel because you're getting to see truly the route as it unfolds and, talk to these towns that right now really don't have any idea we're coming.
Right. Because I was, kind of thinking about like when we were on stage and you were talking about each of the towns and those townspeople, talk to AP and I. So when you talk about you meeting with a town, there's a point when there's maybe just one person that knows, or just the chamber, or just the mayor. And then fast forward to the first time you go to these communities for the first meeting, there's more people in there. And so
Absolutely.
they're probably just finding out.
Yeah, the tough part is you have people that are in these communities that when they announce, they go, what? We had no idea, right? I mean,
Right.
because it is a secret.
Yeah.
And, you can't, because it is such, it means so much to so many people, you got to do everything in your power to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
So, early on when I'm traveling and talking to towns, one, I got to find the right person right out of the gate. The one that, does love RAGBRAI, that can help me get my foot in the door to talk to the towns. Now, it makes it easy when the town submits a form that they want to host, because they're already saying, yes, we want to be there. Here are our contacts. Here's our police. Here's all the good stuff that we need. But if we have a town that didn't do that, then we're physically trying to navigate, okay, where do we go? Do we talk to the chamber? Do we talk to the city? Do we talk to a cyclist that loves RAGBRAI and is connected with the community? They can help us out. And once we kind of verbally say we're going to do this, we shake hands. You can't tell anybody now, is kind of the next step. So then it's like they look at me like, well, what do we do? And I just say I trust that in your community who you can talk to and who you can't, because if you say something, it's going to be all over, the news by 5:00. And it really depends on the community, but they started working behind the scenes, putting a team in place. Some of these, these proven, communities that, already put, applications in, already know who they're going to bring to the table and want to do this. But, a lot of it is they're finding out, that night where we're going, and they find out because, hey, we're going to go to Des Moines on this date. Well, what's happening in Des Moines? Oh, we're just going to get together. Well, it's the RAGBRAI route announcement party. So stuff starts to unfold a little bit, but that night is you walk around. We don't have the town names on the tables. They're not wearing their swag from the town, so it's still very hush hush. Mm-hmm. But truly, once you announce it on stage, you can look around and you see like the shock and awe in people's eyes. And, it's just really cool. But, I think the really neat part is the town that has no idea, but by Sunday morning, they're getting a lot of phone calls saying, can I sleep in your basement? Can I use your front yard? Yeah. So it is a little bit overwhelming for them, I would guess. Can
you explain how come the pass-through towns aren't announced at the same time as the overnight towns?
More secrets to get out. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. We got to get the route secured, which we did that. Get the overnight town secured, which we've done that. Now it's connecting all the dots together. It's just more things that could get blown up for us. So, for us, the best part is once the route is announced and it's in the news, we start getting phone calls from these pass-throughs saying, hey, we see that you're starting here, you're ending here. We're a straight shot. Is there any chance you're coming to see us? And I always ask, like, well, do you want us to come see you and get the temperature in the room? But, chances are, like, we're trying to get ahead of it and get there in that first couple of weeks of us traveling our check-ins. But yeah, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails saying, hey, we see the route. We would love to be on the route. Are we? And, I have to basically have some very secretive conversations with them too, because we will announce the full official route in April.
That's right.
And I'm assuming like the DOT comes into play there too, because you've got a lot of roads that connect community A to community B. Yeah,
DOT, obviously, they get eyes on it early on. Now, the one thing that we still need to learn, and we've kind of learned a little bit more this year and, than previous years, is all the counties. Because a lot of times we're on county road, not on state roads. So these county roads connect these small communities. So, we're trying to work behind the scenes. We're using DOT contacts to have conversations with, county engineers, and just saying, hey, like, what are you working on this project this year? How long are you going to be on this road? And not saying, hey, RAGBRAI's coming, but trying to figure out, get the temperature of the room. Is this road going to be under construction during the week of RAGBRAI? And if everything checks out, then we know we can get there. There's always going to be the thing that pops up that we go, okay, what do we do? How do we make a change? This year there will be optional gravel. I don't see anything from a mandatory gravel. Mother Nature plays a role. If something happens where we need to make a detour, that's always a possibility. But we're never going to put riders on gravel intentionally. But the goal is we need to get there. So, as riders know, the west side of the state, there's limited road options, and I don't want to just add miles to add miles. And sometimes, if there's not a road, you're adding 10 to 15 miles just to get around to this town. So we want to make it as efficient as possible, as safe as possible, and those county engineers start finding out after the route's announced.
Yeah, I was just thinking about while you were talking about how we announced the full route in April, and then we do pre-ride 2 months later.
Oh,
These
wow.
towns, they have a short time to really turn everything around, and by the time we come through, they're almost all extremely prepared. So kudos to them. I'm so excited to meet all those pasture towns. So Matt, all that being said, are there any challenges that you expect to pop up this year, like, I don't know, in terms of safety or...
No, I mean, just nothing besides the normal stuff. Mother Nature's always the one that will cause us problems. We looked at last year where on paper it looked like an easy route, but then riders had, headwinds
Windy Wednesday.
Yeah, windy Wednesday and humid and rain and all these things. Looking at this year, the mileages look easy. 60 mile. I think we averaged 55 plus for the entire week. But you have days where you're in the 3,500 feet of climb. So, that 60 mile day is still 3,500 feet of going up. So, you're going to need to train. We will do our part to produce a safe route. We will do our part to, make sure that riders have the best experiences. We need riders to do their part and bring their best versions of themselves to Iowa. And I think last year was another just showing of how sometimes riders come to Iowa just not fully prepared. Not a spoiler alert, but Iowa's not flat. I think I've said this on every episode that we've done when it comes to, this release of the route. Iowa is hilly. So if you think you're going to be basically riding downhill or flat all week, you're going to be surprised. Our riders are getting older. We're all getting older. And I think sometimes we feel our bodies are going to last forever and we're all superheroes, but you find out when you don't eat and you don't drink, you're talking to care ambulance and you can't understand why you're going to a hospital now because your body is shutting down. And we saw it over and over again last year where people just didn't put enough fluids into their body. They got lost in Iowa. They're having a great experience, but now their experience changed because they're now witnessing it, in a school bus or in a SAG vehicle because their body can't do it anymore. I want you to ride every single mile. I want you to experience every single town. And if you can't do that because you didn't put the hours in and train, you started drinking water the day of when you should be drinking water months before to get your body ready to go. Heat in Iowa is a real thing. Right now in January, it's negative temperatures, but by July, it's going to be 100 degrees and humidity. And if your body's not ready for that, you're going to have, your eyes open to, the bad side of RAGBRAI because you're sitting on the side of the road miserable because of the heat. So, those are some of the challenges that we just, we know they're going to be around, but if you can help us out and prevent, you personally from taking a SAG ride or you personally from being in with Bob and his team in care ambulance, it helps us out. But when we start dropping like flies, it's just, we have to be, on defense more than we're on offense.
Well said.
One thing that you could do right now to start training for RAGBRAI is to join us on our Zwift rides. That if you're a Zwift rider, I know we mention it pretty frequently on this podcast, but just a quick little plug, just join the RAGBRAI 53, RAGBRAI LIII club on Zwift, and you can ride with all three of us. We're on there pretty regularly hosting rides.
And if you don't have the Zwift app, get an indoor trainer. If it's not in your budget to get an indoor trainer, go to the mall and walk or something. Do something. Keep your body moving.
There you go.
Well, before we say goodbye to Matt, maybe AP can answer this question, but where can people go for more information now that the RAGBRAI route's out? Where they want to know more?
Well, you need to find Matt in his RAGBRAI branded truck and track him down, and you can ask him anything you want. But you could also go to ragbrai.com. We have all sorts of information there. Or you could find us on social media. We're at RAGBRAI, and sometimes we're at RAGBRAI_Iowa. So look us up, find us, and you can find there's so much information out there. I work really hard to make sure that anything you might want to know is available.
And of course, future Just Go Bike episodes are going to be full of how to be successful at RAGBRAI 53.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for taking the time. I know it's been a crazy last couple weeks. Actually, it is all year for you, but thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike.
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.